What's going on, everyone? So, Ron Harper Jr. Has officially been waived. And for those that don't know, he is the brother of Dylan Harper, the San Antonio Spurs potential superstar. Now, Ron Harper Jr. has not panned out the way that Dylan Harper is expected to pan out, or even as his dad, Ron Harper, panned out. Right? And I mean, look, it's quite the family lineage that he's going to have to live up to, right? Ron Harper has what? He has 5 NBA championships, if I'm not mistaken, right? So talk about a guy that has 5 NBA championships, and then on top of that, right, and built a career like defensive stopper, right? And then now you're getting, and now you have a brother in the league that is looked at as maybe the next great kind of guard, point guard, combo guard in all of basketball. Now, Ron Harper has been very vocal about my son just needs opportunity. He's not getting the opportunity. He's not getting the minutes or the consistency, which, in all honesty, he's right. Like, you look at what he's done since he's came into the league. It was 2 years with Toronto and then a year with Detroit. And he played 9 games in Toronto, then 1 game, and then 1 game. So he's literally played 11 games total in the NBA. The most minutes he played was the 1 game in Detroit where he played 17 minutes, and he actually had a good game. And I'll go over that here in a moment. But you look at the other years, 4 minutes in 1 game for Toronto, and then the other Toronto in 9 games, 5.3 minutes. So again, a guy that's really hasn't gotten the opportunity. Now, the San Antonio Spurs have an open roster spot. All right. I look at Ron Harper Jr. as a couple things, right? And I honestly could see the Spurs signing him for these reasons. One, he's still young, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy 6'6", versatile, can slot in several positions, right? 25 years old, just turned 25, so he's a little older. But he's a guy that is like, you look at his stats, he's a good rebounder. He can help with the rebounding and stuff. Obviously, again, you don't have a ton of sample size to really know what he is. But again, you talk about a guy 6'5", 6'6", that could potentially have the versatility. But beyond that, the biggest reason why I think it's possible that he ends up getting signed by the Spurs is because of his brother. And you see NBA teams do it regularly, right? Giannis with, Thanasis and all these other guys, right? Like, so I wouldn't be surprised if they use their last roster spot to bring in Ron Harper and kind of, appease Dylan Harper, kind of have those two work and create like a competitive atmosphere for him. It might actually be good for him. It might actually have that competitive nature. And kind of keep the family thing together, right? You see that happen a lot in the NBA where it's like, hey, this guy might be your star, so let's bring in the brother and the 15th roster spot. Now, again, I've said, right? You have 15 roster spots for a reason. You don't want to just like give away roster spots. Usually you're after your top 10, 11 guys, you're usually like filling in guys that are development guys, right? Veteran guys that are kind of locker room presence that have a purpose, right? Or, guys that are there for reserve purposes, right? Guy gets hurt, 2 guys get hurt. You're kind of thin in a certain area. So let's bring, hey, we're thin at center. So let's bring in another center, right? That kind of thing. That could be kind of the way that they structure things. Well, not Dylan Harper, Ron Harper, Ron Harper Jr., he kind of, I think, falls in that like development guy, right? The guy that you're kind of taking that flyer on, kind of growing and developing, 25 years old, older, but it's fine, right? You have time to kind of let him marinate. I wouldn't be shocked, maybe even bring him in on the G League or something like that, or a 2-way. Like, I could see them, even if it's not on the main roster, I could see the Spurs bringing him in under the Spurs banner in some capacity, where it's like, hey, we're going to bring your brother in, work with him, help him. You guys can kind of, link up and stuff like that. So I could see something where Ron Harper Jr. ends up being a Spur sooner rather than later. But let's get into, his stats. It's so tough to really gauge him and his stats. You look at the one game he played in Detroit last year, he was 4 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists, which is an excellent stat line for one game in limited minutes. But he shot 12.5%. So again, it's tough to really kind of gauge where and what he is as far as a player goes. So again, you look at last year, again, keep in mind, this was one game, 17 minutes on the dot. He got 8 field goal attempts. He shot 12.5% from the field total. He took 6 3-point attempts and he missed all 6 of them. So that's why he was 12.5%. He was 50% from 2-point range. And then also took 2 free throws and was 2 for 2 from the free throw line. So he went 0 of 6 from 3, but 1 of 2 from 2, and then had 2 free throws to round out his 4 points. He also grabbed 7 rebounds, including 4 offensive rebounds. He had more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds. So he had 4 offensive rebounds, 3 defensive rebounds, 7 rebounds total, 2 assists, and 4 points. You look at the Toronto game, again, he only played 4 minutes. He didn't get a single field goal attempt. He basically had 1 assist. That's all he registered that game. And then the 9 games in Toronto, he played 5.3 minutes, got 1.8 attempts. He did shoot 50% from the field, shot 33.3% from 3-point range on 1 attempt. And then 1 attempt average over 9 games. 2-point range, he shot 71.4%, but that was on 0.8 attempts, so it wasn't even a full attempt. And then free throw line, 100%. He's actually 100% for his career. He's never missed a free throw. 100%, baby. But that was on 0.1 attempts. He grabbed a rebound, half an assist, and 2.2 points during that stretch. So again, it's tough to really gauge. You look at his per 36, which, I mean, per 36 period doesn't really tell you a lot, but I mean, this might even be worse, but still, he averaged, last year, he would have been 8.5 points, so basically 9 points, 15 rebounds, including 8.5 offensive rebounds and 4.2 assists, which sounds ridiculous, but realistically, if you look at Toronto, the only thing he would have registered is 9 assists. That's it. I mean, you want to talk about the ultimate playmaker, the guy to put it all together, Ron Harper Jr. with 9 assists. The best kind of per 36 that we can gain is that 9-game sample size with Toronto. He would have been 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block, or 0.7 blocks, which I think, is probably in the middle of that. Like I said, he has shown that he can be a really good rebounder, so that's beneficial. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up in a Spurs uniform. Just kind of my thoughts. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.